So we asked you here this morning to share an announcement that has come after a lot of soul searching and a lot of conversations and a lot of deliberation. And as with many in-depth debates within our family, this decision didn't come easily and it didn't come quickly. The decision did come after traveling all across the state of Montana, listening to business owners who were talking about declining sales and lower production and the painful decisions of having to lay off their valued employees. The decision came after holding discussions with community leaders who were uneasy about their local budgets and seeing their cities shed jobs that in a way that we haven't experienced even before in our lifetimes. The decision came after sharing a cup of coffee with workers who were out of work, who had lost their job, some of whom had given up even thinking that they might find a new one. And as I've been traveling the state of Montana, listening to people talk about our current situation, one thing that everyone had in common was the look of worry that was on their face. When I left public office 10 years ago, I really thought that I was through with the policy debates, the campaigns, and the interviews. I thought I'd be spending my weekends playing with my grandkids or maybe out on one of Montana's serene trout streams with a 5-weight fly rod. But as I traveled across the state, I quickly realized that I couldn't stay away with so much at stake. I know, in fact, we all know that there's really nothing wrong with Montana that can't be fixed with what's right about Montana. But we need a solid and steady hand at the helm to guide us back to the path of prosperity that we all deserve. So that's the reason I stand before you today to announce my decision to run for governor of the state of Montana. Woo! As a family, we're committed to this campaign and the effort. And the support from my family gives me great comfort at a time in which comfort isn't so easy to come by. We know that Montana is not only experiencing record levels of unemployment, but we also know that many of the jobs that are available simply don't pay enough to support a family. We know that businesses are struggling. They're painfully laying off workers, and many of them are living month to month just trying to keep their doors open. And so while our Montana optimism and work ethic go hand in hand, right now prosperity is out of reach for far too many of us. Last Tuesday, Montanans spoke with a clear voice. The message was clear: Montana leaders need to do a better job of managing our state. No more overspending budgets, no more heavy-handed regulations that choke off investments in new jobs, and no more living beyond our means. Montana's newly elected legislators are going to have an immense job in front of them. They're about to come to Helena and face a substantial budget shortfall, a weak economy, and a state that ranks near dead last in many independent assessments of our business climate. But let's be clear, the challenges facing Montana are bigger than budget numbers or unemployment statistics. The challenge we have is finding a way to hold our heritage, our traditions, our culture, and our values while making Montana competitive in the world's economy. The challenge is turning around the famed Montana work ethic into long-term prosperity. So what has stopped us from meeting these challenges? It certainly isn't a lack of ambitious plans or broad new policies. I believe that what has stopped us is a crisis of leadership. We've been told that Montana doesn't need a more competitive business climate because people will locate their businesses here simply for a pretty view with no regard for the heavy tax burden. We've been led to believe that Montana's budget isn't too big, that a 70% increase over 70 years is sustainable. Sadly, many have come to believe that the role of government is indifferent at best or even hostile at worst to the economic growth and development of our state. So I ask you to look at your communities and look at yourself. Is this what success feels like? Are you better off than you were 6 years ago? Is this the way we want Montana to be? We need a new direction. We need to go to work and meet the challenges of the changing world, one that I fear is quickly leaving Montana behind. Ronald Reagan once said there's no limit to growth because there's no limit to human intelligence, creativity, and wonder. And I say there's no limit to opportunity if we embrace economic growth and prosperity with optimism, confidence, cooperation, vision, and leadership. If you take a look at our beautiful Montana landscape right here, if you look at the machinery and labor and the products that you saw as you drove up here that are manufactured right here in the Elkhorn Mountains, the Marks story is so representative of many Montana stories. They arrived in Montana in 1890. They settled in this location in 1893. The family ranched and logged and milled and built homes in this valley. The third generation, Bob Marks, established himself as a respected businessman and a leader, serving as Speaker of the Montana House of Representatives. As the family grew, the interests expanded. Bob's son, Gary, started Marks Post and Pole in 1976 and has 18 full-time employees. Bob's son, Steve, started Marks Lumber in 1989 and today has 15 full-time employees. Bob Marks and his family are true representatives of our Montana heritage, the symbols of our work ethic, our pride, and our resilience. But we have to ask ourselves, if Bob Marks was a budding 18-year-old rancher today, if you look at him, you'd say, I can't imagine that, but with nothing more than a strong back and his Montana work ethic, could he recreate this incredible Montana dream? Or would the deck just be too stacked against him? Would his sons Steve and Gary be able to start these businesses and succeed? So the question is how are young families supposed to build a life here in Montana when they don't hold all the cards? Year after year, we see our young people leave the state in droves. Our average age creeps higher and higher. And before long, Montana is going to be one of the oldest states of our citizens in the nation. And that doesn't have anything to do with warm winters, I can tell you. So how do we move forward? Well, we have the highest workers' compensation rates in the nation, and we were here once before. We tackled the problem with stout leadership and strong vision, and we have to do that again, and we can do that again. The cost of unemployment insurance is 45th in the nation. We need to move that to the mainstream, and we can do that with courage and thoughtfulness. National experts say our regulatory environment is 47th in the nation. Business people are not asking us to lower our standards for clean air or clean water or workplace safety. What they are saying, though, is give us a set of rules that work and then don't change them. They're asking us to work with them in creating new jobs while at the same time protecting our environment. Business needs a predictable set of rules. They need a fair legal environment and a stable political situation. And we can do that if we work with one another. We are all troubled to read recently about the high dropout rates in many of our communities and in our high schools. Something is amiss. Not only can we do better, we absolutely have to do better. We need to work together to find ways to put the right incentives to produce better results, because more of the same simply isn't acceptable. So we need courageous leadership to implement creative ideas. Our children deserve nothing less, and our communities and our economy depend on better achievement for a more prosperous future. To get growing again, we need investment, the kind of investment that creates jobs with good pay and with good benefits. These are not liberal versus conservative equations. This isn't Republican versus Democrat. This is about progress versus stagnation. It's about Montana. And we need to work together to find solutions to unlock our potential and to produce prosperity that we all deserve. So make no mistake, what this administration will be about is this: taking down the barriers to good-paying jobs. 2, schools that work. 3, a government that we can afford. And 4, protecting Montana from an overreaching federal government. So we'll start with our comparative advantages, and we'll build on them for a more diversified economy with more expansive job opportunities. You know, there's a lot of talk these days about the Otter Creek coal tracks, and I have a deep interest in that coal because many of you will recall I first proposed the transfer of that coal as part of the New World Mine transaction. And it wasn't a very popular idea back then, and in fact, many of my colleagues in Washington accused me of overreaching. But my response to them was simply this: it is my job to look out for Montana. It was my job to look out for the interests of Montana citizens and Montana taxpayers. So I helped handpick those specific tracts of coal because I believed then that they represented the best opportunity for Montana to be compensated for the loss of jobs and the loss of revenues that would result from the shutting down of the historic mine district in Cook City. Once developed, I thought then that the coal would produce more than $1 billion in revenues to the state of Montana. Today, the estimates are as much as $7 billion. I thought then that those revenues could help support our schools and reduce local property taxes. I thought then that the coal could open up new jobs in the construction of the railroad and the construction and the operation of the mines. And I thought then that this coal could produce good-paying jobs that could last Montana a century or better. Senator Burns joined with me, and we worked together to get the provision for that coal in the 1997 Interior Bill. And his involvement was critical, and he should be thanked for that effort. Governor Roscoe should be congratulated for his decision to accept the coal rather than the money that the Clinton administration offered in exchange. Former Majority Leader and State Senator Fred Thomas deserves recognition for understanding the importance and the value of this coal and giving it priority when he was a leader in the legislature. Former State Senator Corey Stapleton and Governor Martz need recognition because they produced the legislation that encouraged the land board to lease that coal. And Governor Schweitzer deserves credit for being a vocal proponent of coal and moving forward to lease these interests for development. At the hearing to consider the lease of the coal, the land commissioners heard from citizens all across Montana from every walk of life. These people shared the same vision of that opportunity and supported our effort. And so did the 3 members of the land board who voted in favor of the lease of the coal. It is gratifying to me to see so many Republicans and Democrats who stepped up to support what was once just the vision of one lowly freshman member of Congress. But it is a prime example of what we can do when people work together. And we need now to work together to make sure the promise is realized, that those mines become a reality. And we need to work together to make sure that the money is spent wisely to give relief to taxpayers and lay the foundation for a better and more prosperous future. Now, this means, of course, that we have to responsibly develop our natural resources. But it also means that we have to restore confidence in our education system, to get rid of these unacceptable dropout rates, engage our colleges and our universities in meaningful programs that will better prepare our children for their lives and their careers. The Hill administration will embrace a new attitude, and the message will be clear. We want new investment, and we will encourage new investment. I will make it my personal responsibility and that of my lieutenant governor to seek out new investment. We will work with businesses that are the engine of job creation. We'll treat them with respect and with the dignity they deserve, and we'll find ways to cooperate with them, and we will welcome the new jobs and the new opportunities that come with it. We'll support programs, government programs that are truly working for the people. We will strive to make them more effective, more efficient, and more helpful, and where they're not effective or they're not relevant, we'll restructure them, or we will replace them, or we will eliminate them. We will work with state employees to produce a new shared optimistic vision, including their role in building a stronger Montana. And we will treat them with the respect and the dignity they deserve. We will challenge them to be part of a growing and more prosperous Montana. We'll produce a government we can afford. We'll balance our budgets without tax increases. We'll support programs that work, and we'll seek solutions rather than barriers. And now I have to find my last page. They tricked me up here. So people have asked me, why do you want to be governor? The more important question they've asked me is, why would you put your family and your friends through the agony of negative campaigns and personal attacks? That's the big question. But my answer is this. I believe I'm ready to do this job, and I understand the issues. I have a vision for Montana and its future. I can provide proven leadership to get that done, and I truly want to serve the people and the communities of Montana. So thank you for coming out today to share this moment with me and my family as we start in this long path. We ask for your help and your support, your encouragement, your ideas, and most importantly, your prayers. God bless you all, and may God bless Montana and America. Thank you.